So, you guessed it, it's episode 2. We've gone from Knockhill, now we're at Snetterton. So this weekend at BSB we're racing here at Snetterton Circuit near Thetford, and I'm going to give you a full walk round of the track, what gears I'm using, what lines I'll probably be taking. Come on, let's go. Coming into turn 1 at Snetterton is very, very fast. It's probably one of the fastest turn 1s in the country. I'll probably jump on the brakes just after this 300 metre board, if not between here and the 200 metre board. When you're coming into here, you're probably doing about 180 mile an hour, 175 mile an hour. The speed trap back there, I think we're doing about 165, 170. We're getting up to a lot of speed. So we're going back from about 6th to about 3rd into here. It's either 5th or 6th, back to 3rd. It's usually always back to 3rd, depending what gearing we're running. And going back 3 gears into here, it's a very fast corner. But we'll get a bit closer to the corner and I'll show you how you take the corner. So, into turn 1. It's a very unique corner. It's such a double apex corner, so you'll come in, you'll come nice and tight to this inside, but there's usually about bumps here. If you're out here, you can usually feel the front end kind of like squish in on you. It's quite a bumpy corner. But then if you come quite to the inside, it's quite smooth here, but then you end up running a bit too wide in the middle. So you've kind of got to run a nice line here on the not too tight, but just wide enough. So then you can run a nice line through the middle, get it nice and wide, but not too wide, and then cut it back ready for the exit. You kind of go to the apex, but don't really go to the apex. It's a very strange corner. You'll be about middle of track here, ready to cut back in for this exit. So on 1000cc, you're wanting to get on that fat part of the tyre as fast as you can. So you're wanting to stay as late as you can and then just cut the end of this corner off and sit it up and drive it ready for turn 2. But you can technically class turn 1 as 2 corners really, because you end up doing 1, sit it out wide and then back for 2 again. Well done boys, you're doing a mega job.
I'm green with envy.
So, braking into here is one of them corners where it's by feel. It depends how good of a run you've had out of that for turn 1. Turn 1 is so fast out of there, even though you're scrubbing off so much speed going in, you're waiting on the side of the tyre, you pick it up, you're driving it, you've still scrubbed off a lot of speed, but you're still coming out really fast. So you're coming into here, and I'd say I'm probably braking again between 300 and the 200. If you're trying to get a pass done, this is probably one of your best places to get a pass done. One race I clipped the back end of Josh Brooks because I got a bit courageous coming into here, and I thought I could make the pass, but I couldn't, and I just clipped his rear wheel and I ended up over the other side of him. But you can get some good passes done here and you can be quite courageous. As you can see, turn 2 is quite a tight corner. They have just re-tarmacked it, so it is actually really grippy, so you can always push into here and get more out the front tyre than you actually think you can. But it is a really tight corner and you can misjudge it, but there's a bit of runoff for you to run off if you feel like you need to. Coming out of turn 2, this is a first gear corner. You're on the rear brake, you're trying to get your electronics man to dial it in so you can get to 100% throttle, still driving but not wheeling too much. You come right out to this curb but you don't really go on it. You kind of just keep on this white line to just keep on the tarmac, but you can get it lovely. If you get your electronics man to get it dialed in, it feels so nice coming out of here. You haven't got to use too much rear brake. Then you're going 2nd, 3rd, and you're ready for turn 3. You're fighting the bike over to the right side of the track. You want to go quite tight into here, because I found if you go quite wide and try and set yourself up for the exit, you end up braking a bit too much on the side of the tyre, and you see a lot of people lose the front into here. So if you come quite tight, you can brake on the fat part of the tyre. On such a long corner, it makes it a bit easier for you to do that. This is a really bad corner for chatter. You get a lot of chatter around here on a superbike because it's such a long corner that just keeps going again for ages. You try and use a bit of rear brake, it doesn't do anything. You try and use a bit of throttle, it sort of does something, but then you end up running a bit wide. So there's nothing you can really do other than just ride it out. You come in nice and tight, you drift out a little bit wide, and then you just start cutting it back to run your knee across the grass and the curb and grass. As the curb runs out, you go across the grass with your knee, and then you're sitting it up, you're driving it, then you start to work your way over to the other side of the bike as you're straightening it up, coming over the straight, ready to send her on down into Agostini's, boyo! So, exiting turn 3 now. You can guarantee in a race lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, lap 4 maybe, you can guarantee someone's going to run off the end of this curb and you're going to have a face full of dirt off this grass here, because someone always does it, always. So not only are your tear-offs round Snetterton for flies, they're for dirt, for chunks of curb, stones, they're for anything. So stay off the dirt and stay on the black stuff. The black stuff's where you'll go fast. Woo! We're joined by Michael Burton here. Don't stop running, I'm not stopping the fitness here. What have you got to say about the weekend?
It looks like it's going to rain.
Yeah.
I'm very tired already.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not a bad
The
track
wind-
to run round though, because it's so flat.
It is flat, but the wind up straight is a headwind, so it's horrendous.
Oh, right. Right.
How are you feeling ahead of the weekend?
Yeah. No, I'm feeling good. It should be good. Should be good. Like I say, weather is gonna maybe play in our favour. I enjoyed Knockhill with the bad weather, but yeah, good to see you out running, Michael. And I'll leave you to it.
Shouldn't we do the Hock Tour? If it's
Yeah.
gonna
Hock Tour. See you in a bit. Michael ain't messing about here. He ain't messing about. He's going for gold. I absolutely believe in him. Absolute champ behaviour, that is. So, breaking into Agostini's is, again, it's by feel. Your boards are usually out. I think they've blown over by the wind actually being that bad. So you usually do break by your boards, probably again, the 200 to 300 board again. But there is a speed trap line in the track, and that usually determines who's got the big bowls round here and who hasn't. Because you can see who's braking late and who's not. But second gear into here, again, hard on the brakes. You're usually bottoming out your forks. You try and set the bike up to bottom out the forks here, because there isn't too many bits on the track where you can bottom the forks out, but there is some good hard braking bits. So you're basically setting the bike up for hard braking, but nice swooping lines. But yeah, you go in again, nice and tight, run it a bit wide in the middle, square it back off, and then boom, fire it out on the exit, ready on the rear brake, ready to get yourself ready for the next corner. Spin on that thing. Well, they've re-tarmacked this as well. I don't know how new that is. It's usually really bumpy in the middle here, but that actually looks quite smooth now. It looks quite nice, quite grippy. Snetterton's quite a slippy track in the wet, but with these grippy bits, well, new tarmac on the corners, it looks like it could be quite grippy. So we'll have a see, have a dig, have a feel, taste the grip. This wind is pretty unbelievable. Snetterton is always home for the wind though. You can always guarantee you're gonna have wind here because it's so flat. It's on an ex-RAF runway, so like your back straight here would have been the runway where they took off, and that's what it was. It was a runway, airfield, now it's a racetrack. But coming into this next corner, so you go second, third, bike's trying to wheelie on you, and you try and tip in. There's no gauge for braking into here really. You kind of maybe start braking where the boards start. It depends how you feel and where everything's set out. But there's no real gauge because you can't really see the entry of the corner because it goes uphill a bit. I'm probably not the person to tell you how to do this corner because I end up running wide most laps. It's quite a hard corner to get into and get right, but when you do, you know you've got it right, and you get a nice run in, nice run out, and drive on to the next corner. So you're coming out of here quite fast. You can run the curb. Most laps I'll run the curb out of here. And I say you're about third gear out of there. Then you're coming back to second or first, depending what gearing you're running. So if there's any corner I actually like on this track, it's probably this one. It's quite an interesting corner. So you come flat out of there and then you bang, jumping on the brakes. This is quite a tight corner. It's one of them corners again that comes back on you. So you go really deep. You brake really late into the apex, and then you run it really wide, turn it, and then sit it up as hard as you can, get it on the fat part of the tyre, and you're driving it really hard, ready for the next corner. You've gassed really hard out of there, now you're jumping on the brakes into here, but you've got to try coming as close to this white line as you can without going onto this green. Because if you go onto this green in a qualifying or in a race, you'll get deemed as using track limits, so you'll get a penalty. But it is quite hard to come into here and not go onto that green because you want to use as much track as you can, ready to set you up for the corner. Now this corner, again, like every corner on this track pretty much now, You come in wide, you leave it late, you turn it, you gas it, you get onto the straight, try and get as best run as you can. You're taking off this last bit of the curb, you're driving it as hard as you can on the fat part of the tyre, and you're basically aiming for my man painting the track. And you'll be running it out to the curb as hard as you can on the gas. It's trying to wheelie on you, it's trying to spin on you. Pardon?
Well, keep off the wet paint.
Yeah, keep off the wet paint, otherwise you'll get paint on your tyres. And then you're sailing away, you're up through 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. You're flying. And this is a long straight. It's probably one of the longest straights on the calendar, if not start and finish straight is. You can get up to about 180 mile an hour down here. It's pretty quick. First lap out and you come down this straight, you just think it's never going to end. It just keeps going forever. Even on a superbike, you're sat tucked in 6th gear going, whew. Are we getting to the end yet? You're just tucked in going, bah! We finally got to the end of that massive straight and we're banging on the brakes at the 300 board that's not out but will be out. The way you do it is you go 6th, oh, making a right mess of it. You go 6th, 5th, 4th as you're going in, and then you just click 3rd just as you're about to tip into the corner, just to give the gearbox a bit of time, give the revs a bit more matching time so they can work out what's actually going on, because if you try and go through them gears all straight away, you'll probably end up blowing the bike up. And then you usually just click 2nd just before you change direction before the right. This is also a really good spot for overtaking because you can usually get a good slipstream on someone down the straight, or they get a slipstream on you. Again, balls of steel. Who brakes the latest? Who's willing to go that bit more to get past? So if you're on the inside and you can jump on the brakes a bit later, you can usually secure that inside line. But if they're feeling brave, they can usually run it around the outside and get you back on the change of direction when you go to the other side. Get me doing a wheelie for the video. Looks sick, man. Better good at wheelies than that me. This corner doesn't make sense. It's such a tricky corner to get right on a superbike because you feel like you're like crossed up on yourself. If you come into a track day here and you think, oh, I don't really feel too comfortable, it's not just you, it's me, it's possibly the other riders I'm riding against. It's just that kind of corner where you're braking really hard, but you're trying to turn at the same time and trying to go back through the gears. It just doesn't quite work, it's very tricky. Just keeps going forever though, doesn't it? Such a long track. So, we've come out of the back straight chicane, and now we're going to the anal gland. Sorry, bumhole. Sorry, bombhole. Yeah! We work our way into the bombhole. It's such a rare corner, different kind of corner. You've got all these corners on this track that are so flat, they must have thought, right, we'll just put a corner with a big dip in it now, because we haven't put any undulation on any of the corners. You feel everything bottom out on the bike. You hear the belly pan scraping. You usually see sparks when you're behind someone. Aim for the apex. You get to the apex, you pick it up, pick the throttle up. You're about 3rd gear through here. It's getting out of shape, tank slapper, wheelie sliding. You just try and settle it as best you can and just hook another gear and get ready for the big long right-hander. So, you've come out the bombhole, you're trying to settle the bike up. Your 4th gear, you're coming out. Just come off the curb. It's trying to wheelie on you, it's trying to spin on you, but then you get ready for the long right-hander that's Corum's. Probably one of the longest corners you can do. It's maybe like a European kind of corner. It just keeps going forever. So you're coming out of here, you're flat out, bike's absolutely on the limiter. You're just tipping in with the bike on the limiter. You chop the throttle, try and load the front as best you can because you need to keep that front end down all the way around. Otherwise you just run out of turning power. You've just got to keep that front end loaded. You go as tight as you can into the first half, and then again, you drift it out wide in the middle, and then you bring it back tight for the exit. Getting ready for the last corner. Good drive, back home. So we're walking around the corner, and it's still going. It's still going. It's still going. We're still going around the corner. It just doesn't stop. It's one of them never-ending corners. If there's any corner you ever want to try and get your elbow down, this is the perfect corner to come and do it. Because if you can't get your elbow down around here, I don't think you're ever going to get your elbow down, because you're on the side of the tyre for that long that you can literally just go and get your elbow down. Still going. So it's about here, you're still middle of the track, but don't want to leave your inside too open, because someone could probably gas a bit harder back there and put the bike on the inside of you, and that'd mess you up a bit. So you want to come out just wide enough that you're not losing too much speed, but you're gaining enough speed ready to set you up for the exit. So it's about this point here where the grass starts to come back in from that curb. I'm starting to think about working my way back into the inside, ready to get ready for the last corner. So coming into this final corner now, it's always been quite a problem where dust's always kicked up from the inside. So when you jump in on the brakes, you usually get your knee slider digging into the grass or the dirt, and it kicks quite a bit of dust up. And I know there's been a few accidents where dust and dirt's kicked up, gone onto a front tyre, gone across the track and took another bike out ready to go on to start and finish. So now they have actually concreted all this inside bit. This is new for this year. This definitely wasn't here last year, but it's definitely for the better. For safety precautions, it's definitely a lot better. And it just makes sense, just makes a lot more sense. So coming into here, your fourth gear, and you go back 2 gears, back to second gear. They've re-tarmacked this last corner as well by the looks of it. So this is all new tarmac, so this looks pretty grippy now, because this was always quite a slippy corner coming out of here. You touch the throttle and you could always feel the rear end snap out on you quite quick. But now it looks like you can get quite committed on the throttle and get on and get out. Second gear, you come quite wide. You try and set it up and literally as best you can. Leave it as late as you possibly can. Turn it in and then drive it on right out to the outside curb. And then you're sending her on down to the start and finish, up through the gears, up to 6th gear, all the way down, all the way to turn 1. Right, so that is the end of the Snetterton lap. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been helpful. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to click the like, hit the subscribe, and tune in for more videos. This wind is absolutely horrendous. Hopefully it doesn't stay for the weekend. I'll see you in the next video, which will be the vlog of the weekend. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.